You can never overlook any team, but the Chargers are the better team in this one, and they have to throttle the Titans on Sunday and give them no hope.
You are Locked On Chargers, your daily podcast on the Los Angeles Chargers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, and welcome into the Locked On Chargers podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Wade, joined as always by my co-host, David Droegemeier, and we've been covering the Chargers now for 10 seasons, but this is our 8th year as the host of the Locked On Chargers podcast, bringing you your team every day. Thank you to the everydayers out there for making us your first listen. To make sure you never miss the show, go subscribe or follow for free on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel and listen wherever you get your podcast from. David, what do we got today?
Daniel, the Chargers are better than the Titans on both sides of the ball, and they cannot allow the Titans to have any kind of hope. They should dominate this team on both sides of the football. And could this be a Quentin Johnston comeback after having 0 targets in the last game? I think he's going to be up for a big game in this one. And of course, as always, we're going to finish this thing up with our bold and game prediction.
Absolutely, and this episode is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. David, we know this is a trap game for the Chargers, especially with the schedule that they have ahead. This is not a game that they can overlook, but it's also not a game that they can afford to lose. And I mean, when you're looking at the matchup and how these two teams match up, injuries or not, there's a reason why yesterday was no excuses, right? But when you're talking about what the keys for success for offensively, wherever you look, the Chargers will have an advantage and something they can exploit on the other side of the ball. And I think to your point with, just throttling the Titans in this game, I think it's just don't play with your food, right? Don't let them hang around early. Do not take them lightly. Come out, put the pedal to the metal, go out and not dominate them early, be able to stay in your game plan and take care of business.
100% correct. And that's why it's get up on this team early, put them out of their misery before they have any inkling of an ability to come back. No hope, no possibilities. Absolutely destroy this football team. You have the prospects to be able to do it. You have the receivers, you have the quarterback, you have everything that you need to be able to go up and down at will on this football team.
Yeah, and the thing is, for the Chargers, when you're looking at, okay, where can they exploit? Like, it's hard not to look at kind of everywhere against this Titans defense. There's not necessarily something that they're specifically really good at that you'd have to shy away from. I think that for the Chargers, especially, going up against a team that probably isn't going to have Jeffrey Simmons, a team that probably or just hasn't had one of the better pass rushes, like, there's no reason for me to think that Justin Herbert can't just go nuts in this game. If he can evade pressure like he did last week, going up against a team that pressures far less than the one they played last week, I mean, there's no reason for him not to air it out, run the ball when he has to, max protect, take a couple deep shots early, get things going that way. And also just, I think when you're looking at the biggest weakness here, I mean, it is the middle of the field for sure, but it feels like kind of everywhere. You talked about it yesterday. I mean, they traded 2 of their starting corners away, and the highest paid one they have on their team, L'Jarius Sneed, is on injured reserve. So I don't see a way in which Justin Herbert has a bad game here. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
No, yeah, I mean, without Jeffrey Simmons, they don't really have anybody that can really get after the quarterback. He's, missed a couple of days of practice this week, and it seems highly unlikely that he's going to be out there for them. And without him, without that presence on the interior, there really isn't anybody else that kind of that stresses you out or makes you feel like Justin's not going to be comfortable in this football game. So absolutely, they should be able to kind of get what they want, be able to take what they want, but also it's important to keep that balance. And fortunately for them, Kimani Vidal has been rolling 2 out of the last 3 games, over 100 yards rushing. I think that they're going to be able to run the ball very effectively in this game as well, as they should, right? I feel like they're at their best when they're able to affect the game on the ground and through the air.
Well, and that was the whole thing with like Greg Roman coming to the Chargers to begin with, was just the fact that, hey, if you were giving me the floor of this team having a good rushing attack, that's going to be a very good offense because your quarterback is Justin Herbert. And like, quietly, right, even through some of the tougher games, the Chargers have been pretty good running the football. I mean, one of the best teams at running the football, and a lot of that is buoyed by Justin Herbert and what he's able to do with his legs. I mean, me
No
and you
doubt.
were both talking about it before. I mean, you watch that, Patriots game against the Titans. Droegemeier was running all over the place. Justin Herbert last week running all over the place and being able to not only create with his legs, but also be able to find those plays downfield, because that was what was impressive to me. Him pushing the line of scrimmage, making the defense commit, still keeping his eyes downfield to go throw the ball, and find somebody down there. But when you're talking about this Tennessee Titans run defense specifically, the Titans have allowed 129 plus rushing yards in 7 out of their 8 games this year, and they've also allowed 160 or more in 3 of their last 4 games. This is not a good running defense by any means. They did get Devondre Sweat back, and they've been better with him, but it's not enough there. I mean, you compare that with, the Chargers, Kimani Vidal having 117 plus yards in 2 out of his 3 games since he became the starter, averaging 5.2 yards per carry this year. He's just been legitimately good. He's already proven that he has what it takes to be in the league, and I think that's just a huge thing for him. But at the same time, you can't necessarily just go forward with only Kamani Vidal for the rest of the season. But I think what you can kind of trust at this point is if you have a really good rushing matchup and game flow allows it, he can be plenty good, to give you 100+ yard day rushing offensively. But when I was looking at the defense, though, David, the one thing that kind of stuck out to me like a sore thumb was the middle of the defense, especially the middle of the Titans pass defense, because that has been a really, really sore subject for them this year. Cedric Gray, an impressive rookie, but 6 catches on 6 targets last week for 60 yards, including 50 yards after the catch. And then also you look at, Amani Hooker, not known for his coverage ability. Cody Barton, you could say the same thing as well. Amani Hooker, 47th out of 59 safeties with at least 200 snaps as far as coverage grade so far this year. There are places to attack, and I think if you have a soft middle of your defense, the team you do not want to see coming is the Chargers, who have Ladd McConkey who can beat that, or Rondé Gadsden who can beat in that situation, or Keenan Allen, right? So I think when you're looking at, hey, how will the Chargers get things done and continue to move down the field and find those chunk plays, I'm looking at the middle of the defense.
Yeah, I mean, how could you not, right? And yeah, thankfully for the Chargers, they have several guys that not only succeed over the middle of the field, but they look for those chances to be able to take advantage, and they absolutely will, and they should. Rondé Gadsden the second has been on fire, and I think that he will continue in this game. There's going to be such a great matchup for him to be utilized. Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen, who obviously is just a few catches away from surpassing the great Antonio Gates for the most receptions by a Charger, and man, I can't wait for that to happen. Selfishly, I kind of want to see that happen at home, but Keenan Allen gets his targets, man. It's probably going to happen in this football game if I were to wager a guess. And, hey, not a bad guy to target over the middle of the field either. Just very reliable. That chemistry is very much in sync with Justin Herbert, but I love it. I absolutely expect them to do that, and that's a good way for them to continue being one of the top teams in the league on third down. And I think that's a trend that should continue in this football game, right? Continue to do your best work on third down, keep your offense on the football field, keep moving ahead, and get to that end zone. So that's what I want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talked a little bit about it yesterday, like just finishing in the red zone obviously is going to be huge here. That's how you separate from other teams and put teams away. And also just being able to run the ball into the end zone, because this is a team that has given up the most rushing touchdowns of any team this year. The Chargers are actually tied near the bottom as far as rushing touchdowns they actually have. A great way to be better in the red zone, be able to run the football in the red zone. But I think that, for this game, penalties, turnovers, like that's the only thing I could see getting in their way. Like obviously the Chargers offensive line is banged up. Mekhi Becton, questionable probably for this game when the official designations come out. But like he's been in and out. Like that doesn't really change anything for me, because even if he did start, it's hard for me to have faith that he's going to play the entire game anyway. So I'd love to have him. I still hope he can go out there and play, because some of him is better than none of him. I promise you he's better than what the Chargers have elsewhere at that position, PFF grades or not. Like that, he just is. but it was good enough last week. And if Bobby Hart can be what he was last week and Joe Wall can be what he was, there's no reason the Chargers shouldn't be putting up 35 plus points again this week in back-to-back weeks. But what about the Chargers defense? Because there is a number 1 overall pick on the other side, and the Chargers' task will be to do better than they did last time against rookie Jackson Dart, and this time put the clamps on this rookie who has turned the ball over twice as many times as he has thrown touchdown passes this season. So we're going to get into that and more in today's Locked On Chargers podcast. First, though, I need to tell you guys that this episode is brought to you by Mazda's moving the game forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep the game moving forward. And this week's moment that moved the game forward for me was Justin Herbert throwing that deep ball to Ladd McConkey. And why is that the moving the game forward moment for me? Because Justin Herbert made a perfect pass and his arm was moving forward through a defender who got a piece of his arm, but it didn't stop him from it just being a perfect throw. But it also symbolized something else for the Chargers, moving past letting other bad teams hang around them, and the Vikings were that last week. That touchdown made it 21-3. That touchdown started turning it into a laughing type of situation in that game, which is not something Charger fans have had a lot of. And now the Chargers have to be able to put that big win behind them and then bring their A game this week to dominate the Titans this weekend. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at an even better payout, and it keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. But, of course, I'm looking at this game this weekend, and the odds are out. Titans closing the gap a little bit. They started as 10.5-point underdogs. The Chargers are now only favored by 9.5 points going into this game. But I think you'll see in the game predictions, I think I like the Chargers to win potentially by 10-plus points if they go out and take care of business. No excuses game this weekend. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, David, well, let's get into the defensive side of things here. And I think it's been always pretty simple for us when talking about defense, or, Jesse Minter's defense going up against young quarterbacks and rookie quarterbacks, which outside of the game against Jackson Dart, which was just, a game that got turned up, upside down early and wasn't a great indicator of what this Chargers defense has been against rookies since Jesse Minter's taken over. But you have to feel for Cam Ward and the situation that he's in Tennessee right now, because things have not been easy for him by any means. It's one thing to lose your coach and the guy whose offense that you learned to begin this year less than half the season in. It's worse when you have to get it taken over by Mike McCoy, who, as we saw for several seasons, as the Chargers head coach, isn't probably going to do much for you there either.
Good old Malibu Mike McCoy.
Good old Malibu Mike McCoy. But I do think, David, that this game, it is about that, right? Like, if the Titans are a terrible rushing team, we'll talk about that. But it starts with the quarterback. And Cam Ward trying to kind of put this team on his back. Like, you go back to that Patriots game, David, I know you watched it. Like, when things are going good, I mean, those first three drives, they looked like one of the better offenses in the league. I believe they scored on all three of them, right? Field goal, touchdown, field goal. They're up 13-10 against the Patriots, who have been a very good team so far this year. And then things start to unravel. And then Cam Ward's running backwards, trying to throw on the run, and just loses the ball into the end zone for the other team to score a touchdown. That's where it starts. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they can scheme something up on that first drive to get some yards, potentially get some points on the board with having the time to be able to, plan it out and everything like that. But guess what? The Chargers have also had 3 extra days to game plan for this game too. They absolutely have to make life hell for Cam Ward this weekend.
Yeah, and I think they absolutely will. As you mentioned, life has not been very good for him. Cam Ward's been sacked 4 times in 3 straight games, and his passer rating under pressure is 38.9. That is awful. 5 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. His right tackle and his left tackle have both given up 5 sacks apiece and over 31 pressures. 4 of his 5 offensive linemen have allowed 3 sacks or more. So this is open season. The Chargers pass rushers should be taking that handkerchief tying it around, getting ready to feast in this game because that offensive line is bad, and Cam Ward is not as athletic as I think he thinks he is. And that's what I see on tape is he holds onto the ball too long. He tries to extend, and when he does, he makes mistakes, and he puts the ball in harm's way, and that's when other teams capitalize, and the Chargers should be looking to do that.
Yeah, 6 straight games with an interception for Cam Ward, 5 turnover-worthy passes in his last 3 games. Also has 5 lost fumbles. So that with the 6 interceptions, that's 11 giveaways he's had this year.
Yeah, they fumbled 7 times, and they've lost all 7 of them, Dan.
That's, almost 1 per game. I'm not great, but I can do that math pretty efficiently. So, yeah, it is all that, and for Cam Ward, you do see some of that where you don't have the same amount of time that you had in college. You think you can get out of situations that you can't always get out of because he has not only been sacked more than anyone in the league, he's lost the most sack yardage than anyone in the league. And that's because just from watching some of the games, he'll take some big losses, right?
Yeah.
He can create though. Like if you give him space, if you give him a throwing window, if you can't make chaos in front of him, he can make a big throw down.
He's got arm talent for sure.
But if you get to him like many rookies, it's just going to be too much for him to handle. And they have some playmakers, and you have to take away the easy buttons. Yes, they're going to hard play action and roll out the tight end to the flats. Please don't give up 30 yards to that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're going to try to push all the easy buttons and give him the easy throws early, which is what they do. But as soon as things start to get off track a little bit, it's an offense that just gets derailed, David. It is what it is. And I think part of that is just because they've had easily the league's worst rushing attack. And I do not want them to, get right against the Chargers defense, who is coming off of a hugely important performance for them as far as finding that physicality, being able to slow down a much better Minnesota Vikings rushing attack. And then now this week, it has to stay the same. You have to build on that.
Yeah, with the Titans having Tony Pollard, who is a physical runner, kind of runs in between the tackles, and they have Tajee Spears, who is more the home run hitter. The guy can really take it the distance. He's got real speed, but hasn't really been able to show it so far this year, as the Titans are dead last in rushing yards per game at 80.4, and that is a huge reason why they're 22nd and third down conversion percentage as well. So they can't run the ball very well, and that's why they're in a lot of third and long situations, and that's why Cam Ward gets sacked so many times, because they can't run the ball, and they're really in bad situations, and the Chargers need to continue that trend by stopping the run on early downs and forcing Cam Ward to have to create in situations where they are less than ideal.
Well, that's the crazy thing. When looking at their offensive line, obviously it's not good, but they had allowed less than 10 pressures in back-to-back games. But I think part of that is just him sitting back there too long, where some of that's allowed pressure by the linemen, and some of it's just him holding on to the football too long. But either way, you can't make it easy on them. Let them do what they do, right? Don't get in their way. Get them in those sacks to lose huge chunks of yards. Let them get behind with penalties and not being able to run the football. Their running backs on average are getting hit less than a yard down the field when they run the football. That means they're not even getting 1 yard before they are getting contacted for the first time. They're 28th in the league.
That's rough.
So I just think that, last week the Chargers allowed Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason to combine for 2 yards per carry on 9 carries. That's just, if you can keep that going, it's hard to think that the Titans are going to have a chance unless you're just totally blowing it. But this is my last part here that I think has to be important, which is just the young secondary members have to step up, right? Tarheeb still missing this game. Tony Jefferson almost certainly missing this game. And Jesse Minter brought up Nikko Reed, undrafted free agent, who he said is going to get his first real opportunity this weekend. We know that R.J. Mickens is going to be playing a lot more safety with Derwin, probably taking more of those slot snaps with Tarheeb still missing. Good to know that Derwin's there, but I think that the Elijah Molden communication, the young players have to be able to pick things up quickly and stay connected. You can't have those big gains. You can't have those gimmies. I can't see people wide open in the end zone. So for this game, with the injuries the Chargers have, I think it's going to be really important for those young guys in the secondary to find a way to fit in quickly, be able to stay connected, and most importantly, perform, because the Chargers need them to.
Yeah, Nikko Reed's going to be getting that big opportunity to show what he is capable of doing, and he showed well the last time we were able to see him on the field in preseason, and obviously when the regular season starts, that's when the depth chart kind of really shows itself. But hey, injuries happen, and he bided his time, and now he gets his chance to be able to show what he can do. And then, I want to see RJ Mickens continue to build off the success that he showed with in the Thursday night game after getting his first interception. So both of those guys going to factor heavily in, and hopefully the Chargers pass rush will be able to help them out, not have to cover as long and getting after Cam Ward and making it hell. And hopefully they'll be able to get one of those interceptions that he likes to throw.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think the other thing is too, is like, for whatever injuries you have, the group that's not really injured for you, your edge rusher group. Like, all those guys are good. Khalil Mack's good now. Tui's good. Odafe good. Those guys have to show up and perform. And if they show up, even have a B+ game, it's hard for me to imagine the Titans having much success offensively. But yeah, like, anyone can lose to anyone. If the Chargers bring their A game, their B+ game, they should win this game. And if they don't, it would be a huge disappointment and disaster, honestly, for this defense if they aren't able to come out here and have a good day against an offense that hasn't had many good ones on the other side. But we do have to get into our bold end game predictions, including, will we see Quentin Johnston this week? Because last week he was on the side of a milk carton. We're getting into all that and more in today's Locked On Chargers podcast. Let's be real, making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just stress. I'm tired. It happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support, and that's where Rougiette comes in. Rougiette.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rougiette makes it easy to get started. All you have to do, connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online. No awkward waiting rooms, no in-person appointments, and if it's prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly straight to your door, and the process is fast, simple, and most importantly, private. It's all handled by real doctors. It's about confidence, connection, and getting back to the moments that matter. Visit rugiet.com/LockedOnNFL to get 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com/LockedOnNFL, and don't forget to use the code LockedOnNFL so they know we sent you. Rougiette. Stop making excuses and start making moves. Dave, now it's time to put our money where our mouths are and let the fans get in on what they think is going to happen in this one. We've already had several of the everydayers out there hit on some really fun, bold predictions this year so far, and I'm excited to see what they have for us today. But thank you, as always, for making us your first listen. If you need a second listen and want to keep up with everything around the NFL, make sure to check out Locked On NFL with 2 shows per day. For every kind of NFL fan. You can get a double shot of NFL Espresso with the guy you saw here yesterday with Tyler the Madman Rowan, who's always on there spilling takes, and also my guy Tony Wiggins, who you'll see in just a couple of weeks on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast from. But let's get into the bold predictions here, David, including one that I think is very interesting because of how the game played out last week. This one we have from the everydayer C. Snarfs, who says QJ goes from 0 targets last week to leading the team in targets and receptions this week and puts up 2 touchdowns. This is interesting, David, and I think it just brings up an interesting conversation because last week, 0 targets on over 20 routes run. I heard somewhere that was the most a receiver had ever run and had Justin Herbert not target them even a single time. Do we see a Quentin Johnston bounce back this week?
I'm not going to say that he's going to lead the team in receptions, but I do like the idea of him getting back in the end zone. One thing that Quentin Johnston has shown through the last couple of years is he knows how to find the end zone. Whether he's wide open or not, he is scoring touchdowns at a very, very productive rate. So I like that. I do definitely feel like he's going to get several catches in this game, but I feel like the matchup-wise, there might be some other places that the football is going to go to.
Yeah, I totally get that. I mean, I think the crazy thing is like 4 weeks in, he was leading in all of these categories. The one he's still leading in, even after missing a game, and then basically missing another game last week because he had not even a single target, is receiving touchdowns, in which he still leads the team in, even with that fact. Basically, with 2 games of 0 production, still has 5 receiving touchdowns and leads the team. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anything would surprise me at this point. Like, obviously, like, will he lead the team in targets, yards, receptions, put up also 2 touchdowns? I don't know, but I'm more interested to see what the role ends up being, because last week I heard also the highest percentage of go routes that he had ever run, and it seemed pretty clear they were just having him go deep, trying to open up space for guys underneath, which is pretty frustrating, I'm sure, for him. But also, he's not really used best in those kind of down the field, over the shoulder contested catch situations either. And they were probably over focusing on him even when he was putting up those big games. I don't think what happened last week is going to continue to happen. He's just going to fall off the face of the earth. But at the same time, I don't think it was a fluke. Like, I don't think it's a total coincidence that Trey Harris is out snapping him last week, right? Like, I don't think that it's going to be, okay, well, it's Trey Harris from here on out, and he's going to be the bigger guy of Rig. No, I don't think that either. But I do think there is a little bit of a shift here, and I think you saw at least a little bit of that. But I just don't think he's going to fall off the face of the earth. I think he'll bounce back and have a solid game this week. But we do have a theory, and if he's calling in, he has something bold for us. Let's hear what he has.
Daniel, David, a Theo bold prediction for Sunday. Kamani Vidal, 178 total yards, 3 touchdowns. Chargers win 45-10. On our way to Sunday Night Football, baby.
I can't wait either. I mean, that is a blowout for sure. And Kimani, we talked about it a little bit. I mean, this is a team that's given up 14 rushing touchdowns in 8 games this year. So even if he doesn't hit 178 yards, and I think he still could have a very good game, I think a lot of it will be game flow dependent. I think that it's more important that he can, continue to show that he can be that guy, and maybe he's the long-term answer next to Omarion Hampton, not just this year, but going forward, having 2 of those guys potentially on a rookie contract. But I think it's also just important for the Chargers to be able to find a little bit of rushing success in the red zone. The fact that they are tied with the Titans for like this 3rd least amount of rushing touchdowns this year shows you kind of how bad they've been in that regard. So whether it's Kimani Vidal, whether it's Justin Herbert, whoever it is, I'd like to see them be able to run once they get down there and pound it in, make things a little bit easier.
And where should you be running when you get to the red zone? Behind Joe Alt. That would be a good place to go run. That guy is an animal. Obviously, we've talked about it ad nauseum because he is that dude. And obviously, Kamani Vidal did it last week and basically walked into the end zone untouched because Joe Alt took his defender and literally drove him into the end zone along with him. So that's what I'd like to see. You run behind Joe Alt, you're going to find success. It's really as simple as that.
Sometimes it is that easy, but I don't think, it's a coincidence they've been able to have the success with him back on the field that they have, specifically running that way. And I don't think there's anything scarier for a defensive back to see than a man the size of Joe Alt moving at the speed Joe Alt can move at, coming around the corner out in space, coming up to you. So let's get to this one here, though, I think, which has a good point about just the Chargers and their offense. What will they be able to do this week? Let's hear what Connor has for us.
Daniel, David, this is Connor calling from Orlando. Here's my bold prediction for Sunday's game. I think that the Chargers and Greg Roman's offense are going to drop 40 points for the first time this season against a lackluster Tennessee defense, with Rondé Gatson having another great game and Trey Harris finding the end zone on back-to-back weeks. Let me know what you guys think.
I love the Trey Harris part because, man, it does feel like, he just really needs opportunity. It's not nothing he's done has been really bad when he's out there. It's just kind of been a lack of targets and opportunity, and him doing a lot of the dirty work as well. But, David, I think that kind of goes to our point. Like, it should be a throttling. The Chargers haven't put up a 40 spot so far this year. This is a worse defense than the one they played last week. Maybe this is the week they crack that big number.
Yeah, I mean, we already talked about what Rondé is going to be able to do against the middle of this Tennessee Titans defense. So I like that for sure. And Trey Harris is a guy that has really had to earn his opportunities and really, as you said, did a lot of the dirty work in the running game as a blocker and been an exceptional blocker, a guy who's been a difference maker. I mean, it's no coincidence. You see a lot of those long runs. It's Trey Harris that's out there springing that and letting that last block formulate to let that offensive player run down the field. He's been a big part of that. So I like him getting more opportunities to catch the football as a reward for doing some of the unheralded work that doesn't really get all of the spotlight.
Yeah, one of the biggest reasons it was so nice to see him get in last week for his first career touchdown. But you're right. I mean, reward, the dirty work that he's putting in. And I think that also just not only, has he been one of their best, if not their best run blocking wide receiver, like they're pulling him and motioning him to be the lead blocker on some of these plays. It's pretty crazy, especially because of what his role was at Ole Miss and not doing a ton of that. But let's get to this one quick, David. T2 says, we will have a 50-plus yard touchdown. Do you think that happens in this one?
I mean, hey, I think a guy that we could see on that 50-plus yard touchdown is Quentin Johnston. I mean, he does have a propensity to make those type of big plays, so I'd love to see it.
And we already saw it once this year against the Raiders. The Chargers have had only 3 50-plus yard plays so far this year. Only, I guess that's that's not bad. Titans haven't allowed a pass of more than 50 yards so far this year, which is a little surprising. But they have allowed at least 3 runs of over 50 yards, including an 80-yarder to Jonathan Taylor last week. So maybe on the ground is the better chance for them to pick up that 50-plus yard touchdown. We've already seen it once from Amarion Hampton. Maybe Kimani Vidal can, work on his own. Let's get into our own bold predictions. David, who'd you go with this week?
Yeah, went with more of a team-specific one here.
Sure.
Went with the defense. I feel like the Chargers' defense, especially as far as sack production, they are going to feast in this game. I think they are going to get Cam Ward on the ground 6 times, and I think they're going to force 2 fumbles in this game, which obviously they're going to recover because, the Titans don't get any of their fumbles.
Yeah, that's poor Cam Ward has 5 fumbles this year, and he lost all 5 of them. So
all of them.
Chargers, honestly, have been always on the other side of that spectrum where they forced a couple. They still haven't forced very many this year, so I like that part of it specifically. But when they do, they usually don't jump on them. So better to get that, start punching people if you have to. I'm going to go with Ladd McConkey this week. He is on the injury report. I'm fully confident that he's going to be out there on Sunday, and I think this is the Rondé Gadsden effect to me. I think after what he's been able to do the last 3 weeks, I think a lot of attention is going to be paid to where Rondé Gadsden II is this weekend, much more than maybe we've seen in the past. And I think what that's going to do, though, if you're going to suck more attention in the middle, towards Rondé Gadsden, that means you're taking it away from Ladd McConkey, and they don't have a single corner over there that should be able to have any, that could even come close to what Ladd McConkey's abilities are as a receiver. So I have Ladd 8 catches, 115 yards, and a touchdown. I think he has a good chance, a low-key chance to get that 50-plus yard touchdown. We saw a couple of them last year, including the playoff game, that game against the Saints.
Yeah.
Really underrated yak guy, Ladd McConkey, but we know that he has the jets to take off and do, what he needs to do to weave through traffic and get into the end zone. Let's get into our game predictions, David. Man, I hope this doesn't seem like we're coming off as cocky. I think this game is just so important for the Chargers to win, but it's not just, to me, a game where you escape and you're okay with winning by 4 points, but things got a little hairy late and the Titans are driving to, try to win the game. Like, I don't think that's good enough. Like, I think as much as it feels like a must-win game for who you have on the schedule, the Chargers just cannot afford to lose this. And to me, if they really want to kind of start clawing their way back towards a team I trust week in and week out to look like one of the best teams in the NFL, they have to win in convincing fashion. I have the Chargers winning 34-16 on Sunday in Nashville. What do you think?
I'm right there with you. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. The Chargers are a much better football team, and they're going to dominate. It's going to be bell to A, 42-13. Chargers dominate.
I know David did want the thumbnail at one point for this show to just be F them up. And it's true. Like, it's just, like,
if we could.
That's what it should be. And, like, the thing is, man, like, this could blow up in our face and look stupid, but, like,
definitely,
it's not going to look stupid on us because the Chargers, in every way, injuries or not, should be able to go out there and dominate this team and get it done. The Titans just aren't there yet. They fired their coach, have Mike McCoy over there, and a rookie quarterback that doesn't have a ton of help.
And all their good players are looking like they're going to miss this game. So it's
a lot of
no
their best
excuses.
players for sure. And then even with the Chargers, potentially missing key guys, they have plenty on offense to put up a 30-plus game, 35-plus game, and they have plenty on defense from what they showed last week to be able to make life hell for Cam Ward. And that's all it really should take. So get the job done. And we will be back with you guys on Sunday with a live show. I'll be on the postcast show and then back for me and David's own live show on hopefully Sunday afternoon around 4:35 p.m. And to make sure you guys don't miss that, go subscribe or follow for free on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel and listen wherever you get your podcast from. Always best to turn your notifications on so you never miss it. Or you can just follow us on all of our social media at Locked On LAC on Twitter, at Locked On Chargers on Instagram, and our Locked On Chargers Facebook page. If you want to call into the show like Connor did today, call into 323-524-7924. Leave us a 30-second Chargers buy or sell, a question, or a bold prediction so we can get you guys on the show. But Chargers should give you guys an easy weekend this weekend. And if they don't, shame on them. But I'm expecting a big win and to be back here with you guys for a victory show on Sunday and the Chargers getting ready for the stretch that they have ahead. But until then, guys, take it easy and go Bolts.